our podcast, our split screen media, our Dune.
What's up, fuckers? Welcome back to episode 40. I'm keeping it. We're just gonna go with that. No, we're not.
Lordy, look who's 40. It's this podcast episode, bitch.
No, you know what? We are gonna keep it.
Damn it.
For the 40 episodes, it has been a long time that we've been doing this. It's been more than a year. We just took a couple weeks off because we're lazy and we don't do anything. But yeah, we're glad to be back. With me, as always, my beautiful co-host, Joey Baden. Thank you for being on the show again.
Thanks for not having me.
You're not welcome. And back again, our returning guest host, the always lovely Joseph Burt. Thank you for being on the show again, man. We always appreciate it.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Very excited to be on. Not excited to be on.
No one's ever excited to be on. It's like an obligation thing. I guess we're friends with him, so we got to do this show. But something that is exciting that we've all now seen, Dune. We're going to talk about it. We're going to discuss our feelings, our thoughts. I have the man who invented directing films behind me, Mr. Denis Villeneuve, who directed Dune. So yeah, I want to get your guys' quick take. You can give a number score, I guess, too, if you want. But what were your guys' thoughts on this movie?
Joe, you've seen it the most recently. I'll let you go ahead and start.
Sure, yeah. So as the, novice in the room of Dune, I've listened to like maybe 7 chapters on audiobook so far. I, as a very smart person, decided to get it right before the movie came out. And I love the movie. It was an absolute fantastic ride, I think, beginning to end. I have a lot of like positive things to say. The only like negative takeaway is that it was kind of hard to hear what people were saying. So if there was an opt-in for subtitles, I would do that in a heartbeat. So that's my only real complaint. Everything else, like from visuals to the narrative to the acting, I think was stellar.
Oh my God, I couldn't agree more with you with the subtitles, dude. There's so many names and places in this movie. That would have been so helpful just to have.
It was also just hard to hear what people were saying in general. I might just be going deaf. I don't know, but
gotta rewatch it on HBO. That's why they put it on HBO Max, actually, so you can rewatch it with subtitles.
This old man Joey, right, I can't hear what they're saying in the theater.
Hang on, I gotta put in my hearing aid real quick.
Yeah.
Wait, what did you, as our Dune expert?
I was like, well, it's part of my identity. There we go, identity.
Nice.
Did they spell it out where you got it wrong the first time?
I hope so. If there's subtitles for this video, I hope they catch my fuck up. That's gonna be the name of the podcast. Joey fucks up upon.
Joey fucks up his identity.
Oh God. I love the movie. I have read the book before. Only through the first book. But it did a really great job of staying mostly due to the things. There wasn't too much that they changed off of the source material. They did a really good job visualizing a lot of stuff that was in the books, like the Thopters in particular. I thought were really majestic, like somehow exactly how I thought they'd look reading it, and which is important because they're in a lot of the movie. But altogether, loved it. If we're giving a score to it, I'm probably at like a 9 or 9.5 for it. There's definitely some parts I wish they would have put in from the book, and some things maybe you could have added on even to the book to make it an even better film. But all in all, I loved it.
Yeah. Joey Burt, I'll say you called yourself the Dune novice, and I think that title might actually be mine, because you had said you had read like at least a couple chapters. I knew nothing about Dune going into this whatsoever. I knew there was like a spice, and I knew that Zendaya had like blue eyes or something, and that's all I knew. So going into this, I didn't know what to expect. I expected it to be visually stunning because it's Denis and he always makes visually stunning movies. And to that end, it was easily like the best looking film I've seen all year. I thought this movie was really good. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I would go as far as to call it a flawed masterpiece because there are like a couple things that I think really hold it back from being like my favorite movie of the year. It's definitely like, you know, top 5, but there's a couple things with some of the human elements and then the way it sets up for a sequel or the way that it only sets up for a sequel can be a little disappointing and leave you like when you leave the theater, you might feel a little ugh about it. But what I love about this movie is that I haven't been able to like stop thinking about it since I saw it because I think the world is so interesting and the story is so interesting as well. Like the actual political side of this movie is fantastic. I'd probably give it like an 8. I think it's probably like a 7.5 or an 8 because I really liked it a lot. But yeah, Joey, what were some of the things from the book that I guess you were disappointed in that didn't make it into this movie?
Are we doing go ahead and say spoiler? I'm not sure if something not being in the book counts as a spoiler. I just don't know if we want to make that cut just in case anybody listening or watching wants to cut it here or not.
Yeah,
Are we
we'll
officially
say,
switching to that, or are we still staying broad?
let's say we have our general thoughts. Let's say we're going to do spoilers, but we're only going to do spoilers up to the end of this movie. So I know you probably have maybe a little bit more knowledge of what happens next. So we'll
Okay.
say end of this movie, halfway through the book, spoilers, but nothing beyond that.
Got it. Okay. So a couple of things that were in the books that I think would have helped the movie even more would have been before the betrayal of Dr. Yu. There is 2 big scenes that I think they cut out of the movie that I think would have helped with character development. And that is there's a really big like dinner scene where you kind of get to see some of the characters and learn more about them before the betrayal and before the House of Atreides falls. And I think that would have helped get more development for all these characters because all these characters have such rich backgrounds and such like complicated reasons for what or why they do or things like that. And unfortunately, that didn't end up making it into the movie. In particular, I'd say for a Dune novice like yourself or anybody else who hasn't read it before, they don't really build up how much Dr. Yue is a really important character, and his betrayal is such like a stab in the heart, is what it's supposed to be, and it's really unexpected in the book. Whereas in this one, it happened so fast, you didn't have a chance to think about who it was. Then it happened, and then it moved on. And that was probably one of my bigger disappointments in the movie was not being able to do that because Dr. Yue has like been like the family doctor for years. You get little snippets. He has some like one-offs with Paul. You see him like whispering to him. They have like their little hand sign language stuff when he's telling him tricks before he sees the Bene Gesserit. So you can see that there's some connection there, but they don't quite build it enough to do that. And they also cut out in that same vein. There is a moment when Duncan Idaho's Jason Momoa's character, after they know there's a spy in the building, he blames Jessica. He's like, I think it's the Bene Gesserit witch that is the one who's causing all this. And Leto Atreides actually goes along with it, even though he doesn't think it's her, just to throw the actual spy off of the trail, or think that he's off the trail, even though he's still searching. Which eventually leads to her getting a beautiful note saying, "Hey, I didn't ever think it was you. I always loved you." Yada yada yada. So, which we kind of get that half of it when they're flying away in the ship, when they escape in the desert. She does still get the note, but I felt like it didn't mean as much without the fake betrayal and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I do like the idea that what's the Duke Atreides? Is his name Duke, or is he the Duke?
His name is Leto,
Leto.
like Jared Leto.
Jared Leto. Oh boy, we're gonna get into that too. But
Leto Atreides.
The Leto Atreides. I really like how that scene was edited together, how it was constructed, because when you find out how all of that goes down with the Harkonnen and the fat guy with the floaty jetpack, when he poisons him, Paul also finds out because he gets the ring, but it happens to where after he dies, he then gets the ring to not only inform you as the audience of what happened, but to inform Paul at the exact same time. And I thought that was a really clever way of doing that. Like, he's obviously passing down his the lineage, so now he's going to be Duke Atreides, I guess. Duke Paul Atreides.
Right. Or Emperor, which they hint at very heavily too, based off of his visions. But
Yeah, can we talk about how clearly George Lucas stole so many things from Dune?
Oh my god.
Yeah, somebody said that. So Dune came out before Star Wars did, and they just took out the drugs and politics.
Until episode 1. And they brought it all back.
Yeah.
But no, there's so much. I mean, there's there's a chosen one on a sand planet who's discovering his powers. There's an emperor who is playing games behind the scenes. There's different factions that are fighting for causes. I mean, like, it's all there.
Yeah. There's a religious order that has some unknown secret power.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly, there's so many parallels.
Yeah, and I'm not blaming George Lucas. I mean, everything comes from something else. So obviously, he would have been inspired, and Star Wars is different enough to where I'm not claiming it's like a total ripoff, but there are a lot of things where, like, it's definitely plucked straight from the book and just put right into the Star Wars script. It's nuts.
Yeah. He's like, no one read Dune, but people will read Star Wars.
They definitely, yeah. Well, I mean, it exceeded Dune in popularity by a wide margin.
Yeah.
Because I'll say this too: the reason for Star Wars being so much more successful is because it is way more viewer friendly than this movie.
Yeah, it's a lot simpler.
This movie is so hard to follow that I think I'm actually probably going to enjoy it even more my second watch through, because I'm not playing catch up the entire time, like figuring out what's going on, because there are so many things that you have to figure out. And now we know the movie actually did pretty well, but for a while I was like, I don't think this is going to do. I think this is going to be another Blade Runner situation where it's this, incredibly artistic, complicated film that no one watches. And, and that would be especially disappointing with this movie, because the success and your enjoyment of this movie really hinges on there being a sequel. And if there isn't, that's a problem.
For sure. That's I think, I'm not sure if you guys saw the critical review, but he pretty much said the same thing. He's like, this movie is amazing, but if it doesn't have a part 2, this movie is worthless.
Oh, did he say that?
Yeah, that was part of his moist meter.
I totally agree with
critical. But yeah, he pretty much, like, he says that like 10 times in the video. He just keeps repeating how it's gorgeous, and then how without a part 2 it's bad, but with a part 2 it's amazing. But he says it a lot. It's really funny because it sounds like he really didn't want to spoil a lot.
Yeah,
he wanted to give a review, but he didn't know what else to say.
I do think like with a lot of movies, you look back at the original and you're like, or like in a sequel, you look back at the first movie and you're like, it ages so much better. I think that might be the situation here with this one, because I just feel like they set up so much information and such a good job in this movie. So I feel like there's going to be a huge payoff later.
For sure.
I can still count that as a fault of this movie, though, personally. I know a lot of people, like, especially when the second one's out, they'll be able to overlook that. But, you have to take a movie for what it is. And what this is an incomplete film. It's such a strange act or a structure, too, because most movies are, 3-act. And this is not a 3-act movie at all. This is a 1-act movie that is 2 hours and 40 minutes long. And if you're not on board with that, then, that's definitely going to be a over here. Sorry, I had to shut my door and open. That's, that I can definitely see people going into this movie and saying, I didn't like that. And I don't, necessarily blame anybody. And I think, Joey, this is what I was talking to you about, like how other movies that set up trilogies like Lord of the Rings, it's first act, second act, third act, tease for what's to come. And that's how it's always been. And this movie is like, no, this is part one, literally part one of a 2-part series, like a TV show, which is, wholly unique, but in some aspects, I don't think it always worked out.
I think, go ahead, Joey.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, I do like that. I like that he had the confidence. I mean, he called it part one before part two was confirmed, and like the confidence on that man. Like, if there's anybody directing a movie, you wanted somebody who's as confident as himself as old Denis is there. But I'm really glad the second one got confirmed because I'm so excited to see that. I will day one watch it, just like a day one watch this. So I'm super excited for that. And I will say it was really weird and disconcerting that they didn't call it part one in any of the advertising until you watch the movie and it says part one. And I was like, now you never told me that. Now I'm going into this movie with a different lens because I was wondering myself how the hell they're going to fit all of Dune in 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I'm like, oh, that's how. They're not.
Right.
I think it was just an advertising thing, honestly, or a marketing thing.
I don't think you could do that. I mean, there's so much in this that I don't think you could fit that comfortably into a 3-hour movie.
No, and that's why like some of the previous Dune movies are terrible. Is because I think they did try to fit too much into ones. They tried to. You can't cut a lot of Dune because there's so much of it that is so important. Like some of the little aspects are still really important because it's all building on something that happens in the past. If you cut out one scene, it can kind of mess with the rest of everything. Like cutting out Duncan thinking that Jessica is the traitor makes his sacrifice to save Jessica and Paul and the lady, the zoologist. I can't think of her name right now.
I can't either, but I know what you're talking about. What? She's a Farron.
Freeman, yes.
Freeman, yeah.
But his sacrifice means so much more right there because it means like he's so loving and protective of Paul that he's willing to save Paul even though he thinks that his mom's a traitor. And I think that that's such a big moment for him to show like his character, and you don't really get that. It's still a heroic sacrifice. It's still a really cool scene, but it doesn't mean as much as it could have if it kept in that one tiny detail they cut.
Yeah. Another thing is you don't really get any motivation. I think you mentioned this too for the doctor, Dr. Yue, and his sort of betrayal. If they had some kind of setup about the Harkonnens having his wife or something like that, that would have made a lot more sense to me. Just in that moment. But I wanted to raise a question though. Something I thought about just while I was sitting in the movie theater, because there were so many suspenseful moments, I couldn't help but think, and with it being like a 2.5 hour to an hour and 40-minute show, of thinking, would it be better as a TV show? Since I know there's like several of these novels, right?
No, 6 books.
Easily a lot of hours of TV right there. And maybe it's better if they kick off a trilogy of movies and then they like ease into that if they want to. But I think, first movie's pretty successful.
I love that. They're actually they're working on HBO Max is working on a Bene Gesserit TV show, I'm pretty sure. So they're making like a show that's supposed to be doing a deeper dive into the witches. I agree. I think that most things should be TV shows anyway. Like if you're taking from a book or something like that, because then you can pay more attention. Like I really like the Witcher series, and I'm so glad that it's a TV show and it's not a movie, because I get to see more of Henry Cavill kicking ass, and I get to see more of like the minor things. That's a book series I haven't read, but I would like to. But I love the games and I love the first season of the show, so. I'm very thankful that they didn't decide to do a part 1, part 2, and part 3 of a movie.
It's interesting, Joey, because I'm kind of like, for anything else, I would be sick of like, oh my God, another TV show spinoff of this thing, another thing that I have to watch, like all this. For Dune, I would actually really like that because of how complicated it is. Like it exploring every weird nook and cranny of this world would be awesome. And It's funny. I actually think I don't remember which one of you I told this to, but to me, this feels like the best old new Star Wars movie I've seen in a long time.
Right.
Mostly because it's set the framework for everything that Star Wars would be, but also because this is exactly where I want Star Wars to go. And Joey Burtman, I believe we discussed this on the Mandalorian episode, but when I describe what kind of Easter eggs I like in Star Wars movies, it's always like when they go to a new planet and there's some weird creature in the background. I'm like, ooh, what's that thing? Like, what does that do? And then it just goes away, and it's all left up to your imagination of what that is, showing rather than telling. And that's all this movie is. Like the opening shot are these spaceships that have like holes in the middle that other ships
Yep.
are flying out of, and you're like, what the fuck is that thing?
Yeah.
So like but the other thing that's interesting too, Joey, your point talking about like stuff that they left out. I was watching this YouTube video talking about how spice allows for interdimensional travel. And
Mm.
in the movie, they make it seem like it's just fuel. Like they just throw it in the fucking gas tank and they they space the fuck out of there. But in the books, there are these creatures in these tubes, and they feed them the spice, which allows them to have like these basically do these advanced calculations, and then those things navigate the ship. So it's these weird creatures that are being fed the spice that allow the ships to fly. And I was like, that is so fucking cool. And I wish that they had gone into that more in the movie, but what you get is still pretty awesome.
I don't even think they go into that in the first book because I'll be honest, I didn't know that until you
Oh,
just said
really?
it right now. In the first book, I don't believe they mention spice animals, the Spice Girls, we'll call them. They do not mention the space traveling Spice Girls.
Well, I said no spoilers for the next books, and I'm now a fucking liar. So
Dirty, dirty liar.
it's funny because it was on the New Rockstars channel, who do like all the Easter egg breakdowns of movies and TV shows and stuff. So I assume that was in that first book, but they must have just like read ahead and knew that like that's what the spice was for.
Right.
But it sounds like it was the same thing with the advisor guy. You said that he actually uses spice so that he's able to calculate all the stuff like he does in the movie, like when his eyes turn white for a second or whatever.
Yeah, both he and Petra, I think his name is. He's the guy who the actor for Polka Dot Man plays, but on the Harkonnen side. He and the guy that we see like click his eyes up to go white and come back down and say something. They kind of do the same job for the advisor, where they're or for the heads of the houses, where they're like advisors, and they can get a little bit of that spice action going and try to get some visions to say, hey, I think this is the best choice based on the options in front of you, type thing. And that's another thing they don't go into super deep with either of them before. We don't know what happens to the our Atreides guy, but before Petra gets killed by the gas.
Yeah, because in the movie, it's just like, oh, they're just smart. Like they
Yeah,
they
it
don't
doesn't
bring
actually
up the
go into
spice.
that very heavily at all.
No, not at all. But it's a cool detail that again, I wish they had put. But maybe part two, the TV shows, they all expand on this. They all expand on this later.
Yeah, it's a really cool like you're right that they've got so much like uniqueness that going on. Like I mean, obviously you got like the giant sandworms, which are pretty unique to most things. I think almost anything that has a sandworm after this stole it, including Star Wars.
And SpongeBob.
Especially, yeah. The Alaskan bullworm is definitely
That's all I kept thinking about every time it would like come up.
there's gotta be like a meme video that's somewhere. At least I hope so. Where it's just shows the giant sandworm coming up, and it's big, it's hairy, and it's pink.
I want a shot of like the base that they go to on Arrakis, but they're all pushing it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Push.
Oh man. I'll say this too. Not only are the visuals spectacular, sound design is out of this world amazing, and the score is really good. I don't think it's like the best score I've ever heard, but it does fit this movie very well.
Yeah. I still think the only out of place thing was the bagpipes, but I can make up for it because that was a really cool Hans Zimmer cameo that he got.
Yeah.
He always does all the songs, but I feel like he's not usually in the movie, so it's pretty cool to actually see him doing it.
Can we talk, Joey? Can we talk about how these are the most useless shields in all of sci-fi for a minute?
You absolutely can. That was another thing that Critical brought up, actually.
These shields suck, dude.
Yeah, they, I think I tried to explain to you that like you gotta imagine that this is so far in the future that like the shields are meant to protect against like lasers and stuff like that. And like you see at one point where there's a ship flying and it gets hit by some debris and it keeps flying because it knocked off the debris because the kinetic force was blocked because it was going too fast. And so the shields are meant to stop fast kinetics, but the world has adapted to the shields. So every other time you see in this movie, it's tough because it's tough because of where it throws you in. It doesn't show you that.
Right.
It just shows you what they look like after they've already been figured out, so they look really useless. Because you get the slow stab, you get the needle, you get the when Atreides blows the poison onto Harkonnen. Like, there's a lot of times where the shield doesn't do shit except for during the sparring match and on the one thopter.
It's so. I was gonna ask, do they show like any kind of laser gun at any point? Like, I think at the end you have Paul pull out like a pistol or something. Is that a laser pistol?
So they kind of show the when the I'm gonna forget their name just because I'm on the spot right now, but when the Empire soldier secret assassin people are fighting Duncan and they do that laser where they're trying to like go through the door.
Yeah. Okay.
Like that's a loose showing of what the lasers are like in this. Same thing when they're attacking the city on Arrakis and you see that giant laser going through everything. So that's more what their lasers are like. It's kind of like a non-stop beam.
By the way, everyone was great in this movie, but I think Jason Momoa was my favorite character as Duncan Idaho because he definitely felt the most like a real person. And I really enjoyed his like, he was kind of silly, he was kind of fun or whatever. But then, as soon as Leto Atreides is killed, like his demeanor towards Paul changes immediately. And I thought that was really fun. Like he's
immediately like my liege, he gets on his knee and stuff like that.
He does that, but then after that too, he's like, you need to stay in there. Like you need to be safe. Like he's immediately goes into protector mode, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Also, Oscar Isaac is always fantastic and kills it.
Both killed it. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. And Timothy Chalamet's. Yeah. I did a 180 because at first I was like, I don't really get it. Whatever. He fucking kills it in this movie. He's so good. And now I'm bummed that we never get to see him as Spider-Man because he was one of the final contenders. It was like him, two other dudes, and Tom Holland. And I'm like, Timothy Chalamet would make a great Spider-Man.
That's true, but then he might not have been in this movie. So, you got to give it and take.
Trade off.
I think it was a really great Paul.
That's true.
I'll take it.
It was a great Paul.
I think the two scenes of his that stood out were the box for sure. That was just awesome. And then the duel at the very end. It's just incredible. The climax of the entire movie.
Duel at the end was great too, because up until that point, you're led to believe that his visions are set in stone.
Yeah.
Because, you see that guy, like, he's like, oh, follow me, I'm going to train you. And you see Zendaya and you see, one of my favorite shots of the year, which is him like in his Power Rangers outfit, killing everyone. And the mask comes down.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's so good. But you're led to believe that that's all going to happen. And then he kills that guy and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. I mean, he offered to yield as well. And he was like, no, I'm not yielding. Yeah. And I think it was so cool. It's like these visions are informing him rather than like what you said, they're set in stone. So he saw what the future might have been and then said, no.
Yeah. So it's very malleable, the future in this universe, which is interesting. It's not like a hard set thing, like, something like, I don't know, 12 Monkeys or whatever, where like everything is, or Tenet, where everything that happens is supposed to happen. Like this is so very up in the air. What'd you say?
That's so Raven.
Yeah, that's so Raven. This is the That's So Raven of movies.
Yeah, and Joey, I'm not sure how far he got into the books, but like the Bene Gesserit trying to make a chosen one by making certain people have kids and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whenever this chosen one exists, they're supposed to be able to figure out that set in stone future. That's the whole point of what they're doing. But as you hear throughout the movie, Jessica was supposed to have a girl, and
Didn't.
she didn't. She had Paul because she's kind of conceited, and she's like, "No, I'm not the chosen one." And also out of love for Leto because she wanted to make him an heir to the throne.
Yep.
And I love one of the best things about like the Dune series and Paul's character is this whole nature versus nurture. Are you born to greatness? Is it thrust upon you kind of thing? Because it's like he's got the power of the House of Atreides behind him. He's got the power of the Bene Gesserit behind him. Even Leto brings up to him about like great leaders aren't born; they have like greatness thrust upon them and stuff like that. So this whole thing about how is he the chosen one? Is he not the chosen one? And something that I was describing to Connor that they don't really do very well in the movie is the Bene Gesserit go to Arrakis early and start to spread whispers that he is the chosen one, because in all the futures that they had seen so far, they saw Jessica and they saw Paul die. So that like the only way to make those two live, which is the only thing that they care about, is to lie to the people of Arrakis and say he's the chosen one. So that's why as soon as he walks off the plane, they're like bowing to him and chanting the name. Is because they think he's the chosen one. And the whole thing is we don't actually know if he is or not. He's acting like he is. He has some of the powers that this chosen one's supposed to have, but as we can see, his visions aren't set in stone like the chosen one's supposed to be. So it's this whole like is he not type thing, which I love.
Oh yeah, and then the spice obviously enhances his. Oh, can I talk about my favorite shot in the entire film real quick? Because there's a lot of them.
I was like, do you mean which of the shots of the entire movie? And why is it the spider scene in the Harkonnen Palace?
Oh, I did like the spider scene. No, my favorite was it was like this quick thing, but movies sometimes they fucking hit you so hard, and this is one of those moments. But he's sitting on the sand after he gets the spice. Like the spice goes up into him for the first time. The fucking whatever, I don't know, goes up into him sounds kind of sexual, but yeah, it gets up in there. You know what I mean?
You know what happens with sand when you go to the beach and just gets all over you, and it takes a while to get out of your butt crack. That's what happens.
Other people that take spice melange to the butt.
Yeah.
It's more effective.
Yeah, the equivalent to butt chugging, but with spice.
With spice.
That's how they make interdimensional travel happen.
That's what happens to the Spice Girls.
they just sit on a bunch of spice. They're like, all right, let's fly.
Yeah. But sorry, please continue.
Oh no, it doesn't really matter. I just one shot that I really liked is when he's on the ground and he's it's something that happened in the past, like right when he gets hit with the stuff, but he goes, I can hear your footsteps, old man, and it cuts and then he's immediately there, and I was like, holy shit, that might be my favorite moment of the year movie wise.
That was just such a smooth transition. I was like, where did he come from? You know.
And it's because he heard it. He had the vision of him walking up to him in the past, and then it happened. And I was like, that is such a cool way to show that like weird time delineation. Like, what an amazing fucking Denis. There you go, buddy.
Yeah.
Pat on the head. Oh man.
Little smooch. Just... And there goes our video.
We're canceled now.
I'm screen capping that. That's the thumbnail.
Oh, no. That really should be the thumbnail. Oh man. I'll say this too. If you guys, if audience members, anyone watching, if you guys see Dune and you think it's pretty, first of all, it is. It's visually stunning. Please go watch Blade Runner. I say this every podcast. If you like Denis, if you like his movies, this movie is gorgeous. Blade Runner is like 100 times prettier than this. And that's not a diss on this movie at all. It's only trying to get you to watch Blade Runner 2049 because it is that stunning. It is a perfect film visually. And that's all. I'll drop it.
Hop off that soapbox.
Do you think he worked that in somewhere as an Easter egg in Dune? Like watch Blade Runner? Just like really, really tiny text.
There is actually a scene in that movie that looks a lot like one of the scenes in Blade Runner. It's when they're when Paul is piloting the thing and he learns to let go. And because a variation of the future black guy told him to like let go. So he does it, but like when the sand is hitting the thing and it's like panning around, it's doing these harsh whip pans around the cockpit and all the dirt is hitting it. It felt exactly like that scene in Blade Runner towards the end when they're in the flying cars and everything's being shot down. I won't spoil too much because I want everybody to watch it, but like visually looked almost identical. And I was like, I see what you did there. You're bringing over some Blade Runner flair to this.
And just seeing how this movie looks too. I think we talked about this, but God, I'd love for him to do a Star Wars movie.
Right.
Oh man,
that was my biggest takeaway from this. Like, I want an adult Star Wars, set with some complex, themes that we can kind of discuss and talk about. Not that they're like
settle for Rian Johnson.
I know. Yeah, like most things Star Wars are just surface level, and there's not a whole lot of suspense. I mean, there is, but not really. But yeah, there was so many questions I have just about Dune, and like so much more I want to see.
God, everyone would hate it if he directed a Star Wars, like the hordes of like kind of passive Star Wars fans. Oh my God, they would fucking hate it so much. We would love it. Like, yeah. Because it would just be people sitting in a room talking, which I would love for a Star Wars movie instead of like Rise of Skywalker. Oh, how are we going to up the action? We'll add 10,000 Star Destroyers and the Emperor can destroy a fleet with his fucking just like it's
little broken fingers.
Here's the Transformer school of action where it's just like, how do we up it? Just add more.
Here's the thing is that I think when you add that much action or like that much, like just back to back, it just cheapens it and it lessens the impact of it. Right. So like when you have fighting in Dune, it's meaningful and it's really cool. Like the duel at the very end, like, I don't know, there was a good amount of action in this movie where it wasn't like, okay, I just sit here and listen to people talk. Like, no, like there was so much suspense. There was a lot of meaningful action. Like, I loved it. Sorry.
Yeah, the scene when like where the troops had to get out of bed and like, hey, guess what? You're getting fucking attacked. Yeah. And you see Gurney like, all right, I'm in my pajamas, but let's fucking do this, running out there to go beat some Harkonnen ass. And yeah, just like, but then it goes right to like walking weirdly on the desert to not get the worm to attack, the whole movie, like the pacing is honestly pretty great where it's not all action. It's a build up, a payoff, a build up, a payoff, a build up, a payoff, which is, I think, the better structural thing than payoff.
I always look at our stormtroopers. They fly now.
They fly now. Fucking I go back to Cottonelle, man. Less is more. That was their slogan for a long time. And that's how I think about these movies. Like, I mean, I said I wouldn't, but I'm going to right now. Going back to Blade Runner, it's actually paced. Blade Runner and Dune are paced very similarly. And it's because Denis likes slow burn films. If you look at Arrival, it's the same way. Like, it's extremely slow, but it invites you to just relax and engulf yourself in his worlds, like whatever he creates. And Blade Runner is no different. It's like 3 minutes of action in the entire movie, and that bitch is almost 3 hours long. Like, it is fucking slow, but when there are action moments, it punches them up so much because they have to be good, first of all. But when they are, it makes them feel even better because you're like, fuck, I've been waiting for this like crazy thing, and then it's like gone in a flash, and you're like, damn, that was cool.
Yeah.
And like you're right about getting like sucked in too, because like when the movie ended, I was like, all right, I'm gonna grab some popcorn, take a piss, and then the next 2.5 hours are gonna come, right? Like
Yeah.
Seabass, shout out Seabass. He said like if this would have been a 5 hour movie with an intermission, I would have stayed an extra 2.5 hours and kept watching it. Like I was that engulfed in the movie and the story, and I just wanted more. And yeah, he did a fantastic job.
Yeah. No, this movie ends, and I felt disappointment when it ended. I was like, oh man, are you kidding me? But then I realized it was because I wanted more. It
Yeah.
wasn't, it wasn't like an actual disappointment.
I'll say I wonder if he did it on purpose so that he'd get more people clamoring for part two, so it'd get confirmed. So he's like, let me end it super, super disappointingly so that it'll get people like, wait, no, what happens?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
know if
mean,
he
I
actually
think
did it or not, but it's my head
to
canon.
me, to me, it just seems like the ending of a TV episode because you're like, all right, time to watch the next one. And then
Yeah,
you're like, oh no, this is like the season finale. Now I
yeah.
gotta wait for season two.
Yeah, no, it really is a bummer. I was like, man, it's gonna be what, like 2 years till the next one. Like that sucks. But at least I know it,
Well,
it'll be a hopefully a worthy conclusion to the series.
yeah, and I love what Dune or what not Dune, what Denis said about Dune, where he said he said so there are like 6 books. He said if you want to tell a full Dune story, you need at least 3 movies. So there most likely will end up being a part three as well if Denis has his way. And I love that he had said a lot of times he makes movies for other people or just for a paycheck or something like that. Whatever have you. And he was like this is a movie where I really feel like I'm making it for myself because I'm such a big fan of the series that I had to make this movie like live up to my own expectations, which I think is going to make it better too. Um, so I can't sing his praises enough for how well he did for this movie and how excited I am for the next.
Yeah, there's still 2 more. I need to see Sicario, and I need to see Prisoners, and then I think I will have seen all of his movies. I missed those two, but I mean, he's proven time and time again that he's one of the greatest living filmmakers. It's like it's like Tarantino, Nolan, him. Like there's a section of people who like I will see their movies. Edgar Wright is another one. I will see their movies because it's them. Like I don't care what the concept is. Like I know it's gonna be good enough that I will go see their movies no matter what.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of horror movies at all, but Last Night in Soho is Edgar Wright, and Edgar Wright does an amazing job of like his movies and the little details. A favorite of mine from him, probably Baby Driver, and some of the like insane details that he does with like the sound mixing there and stuff like that. Um,
Scott
but
Pilgrim, fucking amazing movie.
Yeah, the whole Coronado trilogy as well. Hot Fuzz, End of the World, and or World's End, and um, Shaun of the Dead.
Baby Driver definitely felt like a culmination of everything that he had done. It felt like, I mean, to me, it's his best movie because it felt like he had taken all these things that he had learned from his other films and combined it into one like super film. Like
Mhm.
just everything from like, his staples, like crazy transitions to really fun camera moves, like super witty dialogue, all the stuff that he's known for. God damn, that movie's so good.
Yeah,
I watched that movie when I was like 11 tequila shots in, and I loved every second of it.
that's one of the songs.
Classic.
Tequila.
Tequila.
Da, 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 da.
How that movie didn't win sound editing blows me away. It was nominated and it lost. I'm like, fuck you, Oscars. Holy
What did it
shit.
lose to?
It lost to like Dunkirk. The Academy doesn't pick the best sound. They pick the loudest movie, and Dunkirk has guns and explosions, so they thought it was the best. All the techies go to the loud shit. But what are you gonna do? So yeah, I think overall, if you guys are interested in anything that we said, or you're like, oh, that sounds kind of like a cool idea, I would definitely recommend seeing this movie, and definitely seeing it in theaters, because the sound will like fuck you up in the best way.
Yeah.
I'd be curious, like if I ended up watching it again on like HBO Max, I probably want to do like headphones because I feel like that'd be pretty baller and subtitles.
Yeah, subtitles are very important for something like this. But even like the little sounds, like when he first does the voice on his mom, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, drink of
Yeah,
water. Can I have a drink of water? Like that kind of. It's like, oh fuck! It was so
Yeah.
loud in your ear.
I
It was
know.
great.
Yeah,
The coolest part of the voice is definitely the helicopter scene too, or the thopter scene with the deaf guy.
yeah.
Um, it's like kill him. They're like, oh Jesus, like you like it's like a horror movie type thing. Like you weren't ready for her to actually use her voice because I think up to that point she hadn't used it. It's just been Paul trying to use it and failing. Um, so it was the first time hearing it right and hearing it like immediately like that. It's pretty cool.
It's weird that the voice sounds like that one witch that comes to him. So I'm wondering, like, if she's the original founder of the Bene Gesserit, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Benny Gesserit.
The Bene Gesserit. Yeah, like I wonder if she's the original member and that's why the voice sounds like that, or if it was just like it was supposed to sound kind of like the witches, so they wanted it to give it that witchy quality to the reverberation. But I don't know.
I think it's the second one, but I don't know enough about it to know one way or the other. And that might be something to explain in the TV show.
Yeah, that's true. I would watch more of this easily.
Yeah. And viewers out there as well as Joey, because I haven't told you yet, but there's a fan theory that spider creature, the Harkonnen Palace. I'm not sure if you noticed it, but that was a person. That wasn't a creature. That was a human being that had their arms like stitched on to make this like abomination. And there's a fan theory that's Dr. Yue's wife.
God.
Just to kind of build into the Harkonnen
Oh boy.
like awfulness. Eventually they also have like human chairs and stuff like that. Like there's some pretty messed up
Ooh.
stuff in that palace that I'm excited for them to dive more into. They already showed some pretty gruesome stuff with it and they barely touched the surface. God, we've been talking so much about Atreides and Paul. We haven't even like touched like the Harkonnens much at all.
Yeah.
But
Bootstrap Bill, my
yeah.
boy.
That's Skarsgård from Thor, right?
Yeah.
He did a fantastic job as Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. No, he and okay, so I'm actually curious about this, Joey. Why do you think he floated? Like, what is the cause of his flotation?
Man, I think that he's just so fat that he has his own orbit. So he's kind of just like, no. I don't know, honestly.
You're not
it's
wrong.
probably he's just farting a lot where he's just kind of like I honestly had not thought about it because I try not to like theorize too much on something I feel like might be a good reveal later.
Okay,
But like I don't know, like they
my
haven't
fart,
like
my flatulence,
they haven't introduced any other powers, right? Other than the voice. So I have no reason to believe that it's like something spiritual or mystical. So I have to assume it's probably something tech related.
Okay. Well, I guess do you want me to let you know? So it's not like a big reveal type thing. It's just kind of
No, sure, let me
world
know.
building.
Yeah.
Basically, you actually, I thought you had it for a second, and then you dropped the orbit thing. But he's basically too fat to move anymore, like on his own accord. And you see that thing that's in his like spine.
Yeah.
That as well as like some things underneath of him help him levitate because he can't walk anymore. And they do such a fantastic job in the movie of like hinting towards that but not showing it. And like us as the viewer and the non-book readers would have this like mystic like, oh my god, why is he doing that, how is he doing that? Like Leto Atreides or whoever, like seeing him float over must have been terrifying. It's like, why can this fat man fly? And he keeps like the thing underneath of him to make him like look more mystical and creepy. When it's really just such a funny thing, but he's just putting on a show.
The way it's shot, I mean, Denis, but the way it's shot, like it's terrifying. Like when he floats up the first time and he's like, my Arrakis, my Dune, and you're like, oh fuck. The only time it's goofy, and Joey, I mentioned this to you, the only time it's silly is when they go into the room after the poison has been administered.
He's just like sitting there in the corner, all huddled up.
I told Joey he's on the ceiling like a Dollar Tree balloon, like
He's just got a little bit of air left. Just a little bit. Enough to keep him up there.
It's so dumb.
It says Happy New Year and it's like June. It's just not quite.
Get well soon.
My June.
Get well soon. They're already dead.
My June. Oh my god.
I will say, the moment he gets up out of the chair and just floats towards Leto, and he's just floating into the frame, like towards you, the audience, is terrifying as well.
Like they made, I get it. I can't, again, we're just gonna keep singing his praises, but he did such a fantastic job of like, and I just think it's a really cool, like it's a good character building moment for Baron Harkonnen, because you kind of see that he cares about his image, right? You see his little vein. He's like, oh, I have to look terrifying to my villains. If they just know I'm a fat piece of shit, then no one's gonna be scared of me.
The out of focus shot of him, when you see it from Leto Atreides' point of view in the chair, and he's floating over to him, but he's out of focus. Let me just go down here real quick.
Whoa, we're gonna keep it PG, all right?
I've said fuck too many times for it to be PG.
Oh shit. Well, it's scrapped. Well,
better luck next episode.
Oh, it's such a clean fucking shot.
You're just gonna tie his shoes, right?
Yeah, I was gonna go down. I was gonna tie his shoes.
Yeah. His shoes untied. You're just doing him a favor.
Yeah, you know, your pants get folded up a little bit. I was gonna pull that down. You know, straighten it out. He's gonna look good. And then I was gonna suck the shit out of his dick.
Oh gosh.
Oh boy.
This is all going in. I'm not cutting a single word.
Good.
So in conclusion, watch Dune.
Yeah, watch Dune. In conclusion, Blade Runner 2049. Vote Blade Runner.
Oh, dude. Joey, I'm watching. I told you this last time we talked, but I'm watching that with you next time I see you.
Yep. If I don't see it before that, because I want to watch Arrival now really bad. Not that I didn't want to watch it before. It's just I haven't had the opportunity to.
Honestly, don't wait for me. Like, if you're gonna watch those movies, like, just do it without me. That's fine. I'll call you and we can talk about it.
I'll watch it. I'll watch the first one and then 2049, and then I'll say I haven't seen it yet when I see it with you, so that way it seems genuine.
You're like, oh, what? That's crazy.
Yeah, and then you'll be like doubting, like, oh no, has he actually seen it? I don't know.
It sucks that you have to watch the first one to get full context, because man, that movie is so beautiful and that story is just not good. I wanted Blade Runner 1. I've never wanted to like a movie more than like Jumper and the first Blade Runner, like both of those movies, but it's tough. But yeah, 2049 slaps, so it's well worth it. Well, we went on a Dune tangent, which I'm fine with. Do we want to talk about Boba Fett for a couple minutes and then we'll head out?
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, we're already on the topic of sand, so might as well go on. So.
Yeah.
Giant worm, Sarlacc. Mm.
Do you know the girl that plays Fennec in that trailer is 57? I shouldn't call her. She's a grown-ass woman, but she's 57 years old.
Yeah, it's also Mulan. That's the voice actor for Mulan.
Is she really?
Yeah.
Like the original, right? Disney animated show or movie.
Okay.
Yeah. And she's also in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I feel like most people know her from Mulan.
She's like the best looking 57-year-old I've ever seen.
Right.
Agent in reverse. That trailer looked good. I don't know. I didn't really think it looked fine.
It's more Star Wars content. I'm gonna watch it. Listen.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we're all bought into it. Everyone that's 40 to 50 years old that's still living in their mom's basement is gonna look at their Boba Fett action figure on their desk and be like, finally.
Yeah, finally you'll get some worthy content. You won't just do nothing and die.
It's my time now.
Yeah.
I don't really know what the one thing I don't really want them to do is another like redemption arc thing where he's like, maybe I shouldn't bounty people and I should be a good person. Like, I don't mind him doing good things, but Boba Fett's kind of an asshole, and I don't really want that to go away necessarily, because like the woman character is like, you need to be better, and he's like, I do need to be better, and I don't want that to be the whole show, you know.
Well,
Yeah, it's this kind of seedy underworld.
Go, Joey.
Sorry, it's supposed to be the seedy underworld type of show. That's what the trailer implicates. And I mean, it's Tatooine and it's Jabba's palace. So I mean, I don't know. I know most Star Wars content has this model of mentor and mentee. I think we talked about this pretty recently, Connor. But if you look at any piece of Star Wars content, you have either a father and a son, or like a teacher and a student. And that kind of carries the main plot forward. So who knows, if they diverge from that, I'll be happy, because I want them to explore other types of narratives. And if they have just a cool like underworld crime boss type of show, I'm all for that. I think that'll be really fun.
Yeah, and I don't think that they're going to be very. I don't see it as a redemption arc so far, because we're talking about like, oh, you're a bounty hunter, like, oh, I don't do that. It's like, that's not what I've heard or whatever. But there's a part towards the end of the trailer where it shows him like he's like, normally I would have like dropped you into the pit with the Rancor by now, like proceed or whatever. But I think that they cut that trailer expertly. I'm almost positive that they're one of those people that came there, got shot, and then he said, proceed to the next guy. I don't think that they're building Boba to be they're redeemable. I think they're just like giving you a nice look into the seedy underbelly of Tatooine. They might go more into what they showed in like Solo, maybe like with like the Darth Maul's syndicate and stuff like that, where he kind of rules a crime syndicate. They might kind of show a little bit more of that and stuff. And I'm super excited for that, because I love the seedy underbelly of Star Wars. It's one of the like coolest but least explored mediums in like the movies and shows, besides like maybe Clone Wars. Also, I just really want a live action Hondo so much, and this is a good chance for that.
Please.
Live action who?
That's all I want.
Hondo. He's from Clone Wars and Rebels.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I think if they could do that, they would just make my dreams come true.
Yes.
But yeah, so I have a theory that like they might try to bring in Maul. They might try to bring in was it the Crimson Dawn, I think, from Solo.
Thank you. I want to say Red Dawn. I'm like, that's not right.
Yeah. Because like their plans were let's introduce this with Solo, and then we'll do a follow-up later, right? And then Solo didn't do well, and then they're like, oh, we should probably think about what we're doing. And so maybe this is their chance to bring that back up. There's a lot of stuff in Rebels that this could potentially tie into as well. Or sorry, not Rebels. I'm thinking of a different era, the sequel trilogy, where still waiting on the First Order.
Right?
Where are they? So
there is a part of me that thinks they're holding that back for right now, like those kind of storylines, because they are going to retcon the entire sequel trilogy. There's been a lot of rumors about that.
Say it again, slower this time.
Let me hear that one more time.
Yeah, I need the background of you saying that real quick. So
yeah, they'll retcon that trilogy and then give Denis his own.
Wow, that would be amazing. Oh my god, I would love that so much.
I mean, I've mentioned before, Joey, you know this, and Connor mentioned it to you, but they do introduce like some form of time travel-esque mechanic in Star Wars in Rebels. So like it's not impossible and out of like the realm of the universe to undo all that BS and make better movies.
Got a multiverse scenario now, but we'll just ignore that sequel multiverse. We don't talk about that one.
Yeah. Real quick, can we talk about how Star Wars needs a what if so bad? like what if like Anakin beat Obi-Wan, kind of like they did in the old episode 3 video game, and they could do plenty of different things like that. I think it'd be pretty cool.
It'd be so cool.
Can we make it a good show though? Sorry. I'll watch the rest of the Marvel one, but what I saw so far was not very good.
You didn't even get to the Doctor Strange episode.
Say what?
Said you didn't even get to the Doctor Strange episode.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't have a complete picture, so I can't judge the entire thing. But from what the episode and a half or whatever of what I saw, oh no. But I don't know. Visions was also pretty bad too. So
hey, I told you, you got to the worst episodes. You got to get to, what is it, 4 and 5.
That seems to be the pattern with both of these shows. I've like
honestly, it's a lot of the Disney stuff in general. It feels like the Clone Wars. You got to get past the first season. The Rebels. I think you also got to get past like most of the first season.
I'm not sure if it's the case for. I'm not sure if it's the case for What If, but with Visions, there's very distinct art styles, and there's no like rhyme or reason for them to be in the order they're in. It just happens to be like the second one is really bad.
Was it the Rock Band one?
Yeah, dear God.
That was so bizarre, but like I was here for it. But I haven't watched all of them yet. I'll be 100% honest. I watched like the first 4 or 5, and I completely forgot they existed until you just said that. And I know what I'm gonna do tonight.
I would definitely recommend it.
I got to go back and watch the rest because I actually really liked the first one with the samurai. I thought that was sick. I thought the band one was dumb as shit, and then somehow the twins one was worse. Yeah, that was the biggest piece of garbage I've seen in my life.
That was weird. Yeah, the one after, is that the one after that with the lightsaber smith?
Yes,
that was really
good. It's the second one after that. The one after is the Village Bride, which is pretty good too.
Is the which one? Which one, Joey?
The Village Bride, and then it's the lightsaber smith after that.
Okay.
I think so. It's like episodes 4 and 5.
That Boba Fett trailer was such a nothing trailer that we ended up talking about other Star Wars stuff.
I mean, they didn't show very much, which is good. I'm glad they didn't show much, and we'll see where it goes. I'm excited for it. I hope that they follow him as more of like an anti-hero than as a hero, and make some good content.
I'm like, in terms of my level of excitement, I'm like that joke when they're like, "Oh, and the crowd is going mild." Like that's kind of how I feel about it.
I think that's how we all kind of felt when it was announced. I think people are excited because we're getting some Boba Fett content, but it felt so weird and like out of nowhere. It's kind of like, all right,
yeah,
no build up.
It's weird that he's bald. I'm just gonna say that it's weird. I don't like it. I didn't like it in Mandalorian. I don't like it here.
I think it's pretty cool. I like that. I like it personally, but I'm just so excited to see Tamara Morrison coming back. So
I love him, but like I just like do we? I don't get a vote for Pedro, like a toupee, something. I don't know.
Put your helmet back on.
Say what?
Put your helmet back on.
Don't take it off. Do what Mando does. Don't take it off. I think I'm honestly more excited for that, for Mando season 3. I don't know where they're gonna go with it, or it felt pretty like it felt like a finale. It didn't really leave a whole lot to like, hey, here's what's happening next season. But I don't know.
How about Kenobi?
Lead up to the Battle of Mandalore type thing, where they're gonna have him try to get the Mandalore back to the Mandalorians. I think that's the only thing I can really think of. Maybe we get a couple, maybe we get like a Baby Yoda episode. I don't know.
Yeah.
I trust Jon Favreau. He's done a fantastic job with the universe, and Dave Filoni as well. So I
think
trust them to make good content.
I think they're gonna cast somebody as young Luke Skywalker. I think if they bring him back.
Stan.
Oh,
No.
Joey says no.
What? No, I said I know. I hope it is him.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was
If
like,
they
damn,
get
all right,
anyone.
rude.
I think my voice is cutting out a little bit with my internet connection. Sorry.
Oh, good.
Oh,
That's
no,
what you
you're
get for living
fine.
in Tennessee, honestly.
They gotta turn a crank to power the internet.
His arms getting tired. The hamster's starting to die.
It's like we're in the 1800s here, man. Hey, we're only in the 1800s in terms of our culture.
Don't say. I know what you want to say. Don't say it.
That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, we'll leave it in culture. All right, we'll leave it in culture. Oh boy, this has been a raunchy episode.
I love it. Episode 40, baby. Off the hook, off the rails.
Oh, dude, we go balls to the wall on the 40th episode.
Our podcast, our split screen media, our Dune.
Our Dune. Well, I guess on that note, I don't know. If you guys have a recommendation, you can just throw it out. I won't make it a whole thing.
Dune.
Yeah. All right, Dune.
I'll say read the Dune book, so you can get more context of the amazing movie.
I will say I'm really enjoying it. Like I just throw it on when I'm playing something and I'm listening to it, and it's really good.
Are you going to get through the whole thing, or are you going to stop when the movie stopped?
No, I plan on reading ahead.
Okay,
just through the novel.
Gotcha.
Because I know it probably doesn't end at the same point, is my suspicion. Because the movie does not start exactly where the novel does.
The novel starts with a hand in the box.
Yeah. Which, what a way to start a book. I'm just tuned completely in because from the way the novel makes it sound.
React to this pain, you're gonna get murdered. All right, that's where we're starting.
From the way the novel makes it sound, he doesn't expect for his hand to come out. Like his hand is gone and it's just completely just withered and like gone from all the pain.
You did a good job showing pain because he looked like he was in pain.
Yeah.
You get a shot of that in the movie. Like his hand is all burnt to a crisp.
That's true. Yeah.
And like it's supposed to be like what he's feeling, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they do. I actually, it's funny because the audiobook is on YouTube and I listened to maybe like 20 minutes of it after the movie. And I went through that scene. I was like, oh, he did a good job directing that because it's really similar.
Yeah.
I'm going to say for my recommendation, I don't know why, but Man Seeking Woman is so fucking underrated and you should all watch it. It's one of the best TV shows ever made.
Agreed.
Nobody watched it. Like it's so underground. And I know, it's kind of like Dune. You're either going to really like it or you're really not going to like it at all. But if you do, welcome. We need more fans.
Literally dozens of us. Like Arrested Development fans.
Yeah, no, it's same. All right, well, I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up. We were going to talk about Morbius. I'll just say fuck Jared Leto and we can just end it there. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for sticking with us for 40 episodes. If you have, it's been a journey. Here's to 40 more. We always love doing these, and it's always been kind of just a passion project for us. Like if you guys enjoy it, we enjoy making it. So I hope that comes through to you guys when you watch. But thank you, Joey, for co-hosting again. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, other Joey, for being guest host again. We always appreciate your input. And tune in next week, guys. Thanks so much. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, beautiful people.
Peace.